It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
Now, Brian, it's so interesting. We sit in a unique spot where we get to work with successful individuals and families from all across the country. We have interacted with successful folks. And so we have some insight into specifically the relationship between money and happiness and fulfillment. And it was interesting. We were talking about in pre-show prep. And you dubbed this. You said right now it feels like out there in the world, there's this huge lie about happiness. There is something being sold, and we are being duped around what happiness really is versus what we're being told that it is.
There's definitely a lot of manipulation, misleading, and that's why I do. This is a passion project for me, because a lot of people, I think one of the saddest parts of dealing with successful people and money is to see people sell businesses or come into large sums of money that they always aspired to, and then they wake up the next day and they go, I don't feel any different. And I think the reason, that's why this type of content is needed, is because the big lie is, I don't care if you're talking about social influencers. I don't care if you're talking about the media that we're supposedly getting our news from. I don't care, marketing firms, or even our neighbors down the street, the Joneses that we're trying to keep up with. Everything that is presented to us about happiness is about consumption. And that is just not the reality of what happiness is.
How many times have you interacted with someone or spoke with someone that said, oh, well, if I just get that new car, that'll fix it. Or if I just move into that neighborhood, it'll fix. Or maybe if I can just go eat at those restaurants, or if I just look this way, if I just ... that is the key to happiness. And I don't think that that's the way that it actually works.
No, it's complete sleight of hand. I mean, and you gave some great examples. I thought when I got my first car, like when I was 16, all the ladies were going to be interested in me, and it was false. I mean, I fell for this consumption.
You're a nice cavalier,
no,
right there.
It doesn't. Buying a new car is not going to get you more dates, no matter what that advertisement says. A lot of people, if you're feeling bad about your body image, you don't like how you look, instead of going to the gym, the entire industry out there is just saying, hey, don't worry about going and making yourself better. Just go buy some designer clothes. You just put better clothes on you. You'll feel better. You'll be happier. That's a lie. And then here's my favorite. And of course, I put like the Little John, intro on this is shots, shots, shots. As everybody gets so excited because look at you can't go ride to work and turn on the radio. Now, look, some of these songs, I'm getting a little longer in the tooth. So some of these are a little blasts from the past, but you'll love this exercise. Listen to these song lyrics and tell me that consumption is not equated to happiness.
And I love it, Brian, because you even went with some different genres here. Here's the first one that you wanted to share.
Yeah, the think about, now listen, we had to go find all the clean versions of this, and somehow the A word even shows up in the clean version, but you'll just have to go with me. But there was a song that came out with Pitbull and Neo, and it's called Time of Our Lives. Now, hear me out. Here's the lyrics. I knew my rent was going to be late about a week ago. I worked my A off, but I still can't pay it though. But I got just enough to get up in this club, have me a good time before my time is up.
It's all about a good time.
That is YOLO. You only live once. I'm telling you, you're going to more than likely live to a ripe old age, so plan accordingly. But we won't just pick on Pitbull, because I think if me and Pitbull hung out, we'd actually be friends, so I don't want him to think I'm picking on him. So let's talk about 7 Rings by Ariana Grande. Now, here's the thing. First of all, my favorite things from The Sound of Music is a classic.
Right.
And since she straight up ripped off this song, 90%, I researched this is how nerdy I am, 90% of what she makes off this song goes to the writers of My Favorite Things.
Really?
Because this is literally a rip-off song. But here's the lyrics from that. I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it.
A lot of consumption in there.
I didn't hear any deferred gratification. It was all about consumption, and happiness is going to make you happy because you'll feel more like Ariana Grande. And then, look, we're even going to pick on our neighbors. Chris Jansen, right down the street. Buy me a boat. Listen to this lyrics. I know everybody says money can't buy happiness, but it could buy me a boat. It could buy me a truck to pull it. It could buy me a Yeti 110 iced down with some silver bullets.
So it sounds like the key to all of these things is if I can just buy this or experience this or get this, I'm going to be happy. It's going to make me happy. And there are number one hits out there suggesting that that's the key and the secret and the way to happiness.
Well, all of this, and remember, we called this the big lie, but the reason they can get away with this, and this is something, y'all know, my youngest daughter is autistic, and she has this unique thing right now where she keeps asking me to pull up YouTube videos explaining why mobile app ads lie. And if you play video games, you know what I'm talking about. These things are bait and switches. But this is how they can get away with this, because there is a little sliver of truth in everything they're doing here, because what the public is pushing out there with the media, the social influencers, all this talk of consumption, is they're talking about hedonic happiness. This is the pleasure component, the short-lived part of happiness. And that's what I'm telling you, is that this is the syrupy sweet part that gives you that sugar high, but it just disappears so quick.
And this is actually, there are physiological things that happen right inside your brain when you get that hit of dopamine from things like a really good meal or going out and buying something or buying a big thing like a car or a house or a boat. Literally, your brain physiology changes so that you get that chemical hit that makes you feel happy. But it's like you said, Brian, it is short-lived and it is temporary. It does not stick.
And this is a human condition, is that once we feel something good, once we have pleasure from something, we want more of it. We're like, yeah, I want more of that. So, but the problem is, since you want more, it's that insatiable appetite that you just can't quench. You can get enough of it. And by the way, if this was actually the truth to happiness, if you think about this, we would be really looking at lottery winners as the poster child of what success looks like.
Because they can buy anything. Yeah, because they can go out and have all the happiness.
You're just an ordinary person. One day you win the mega millions / billions, whatever we're up to with the mega lottery that's going on. And these people get hundreds, they get millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in some cases. But here's the reality of it. 70% of lottery winners lose or spend all their winnings within 5 years. I mean, that seems
they
crazy.
Must still be looking for more happiness, right? Like, obviously, if they had all this money, had all this windfall, had the ability to go out and buy all these things, and yet they run out of money, it must be that those things that they were buying were not satisfying it. They were not fixing the problem. They were just really a distraction from perhaps what the bigger problem is.
Well, remember, this is a sugar high. So what happens is, let's take the lottery winner. They go out and buy the new car, they buy the new house, they buy the new boat, they load it all up, and then they wake up after they bought all that stuff and like, man, I kind of still feel the same, and I got back to my normal base level of happiness. Maybe I didn't buy enough. Maybe I didn't do it right. And this is what drives them to zero. And everything that they're doing from a behavior standpoint, y'all have heard this concept if you're a financial mutant who's been listening to our content. This all ties back into the hedonic treadmill. What's so funny is that you will go and just load up your life with buying, and doing, and thinking, and then you'll find out, wait a minute, even though I did all these things at once, I'm in the exact same place of happiness. Now, Bo has the fancy definition. I'll let him share that.
Yeah, this is the actual definition of the hedonic treadmill. It describes the tendency of humans to quickly return to a stable level of happiness after major life changes. Now, I know our natural tendency is, no, we're financial mutants. We're not subject to this. We don't succumb to this. I'm going to share a personal example for me, because I had this conversation with you, Brian. When my wife and I, as our family was growing, we decided that we wanted to have a larger home on a bigger piece of land so that our kids could run around and play. And I remember we had that first house built, and percentage-wise, it had a higher percentage of square feet than my previous one, right? So it was a bigger house. And I remember telling you, for like the first, I was like, Brian, this is unbelievable. I walked from my bedroom to my kid's bedroom. Oh my gosh, it's just so big. It's so spacious. I've got all this room. And now, as we sit here today, my wife, oh man, feel like we're on top of each other, we're bumping, because now that's just the norm. We all adjust. What seems to be so unique and what seems to be so exciting, what seems to be so top tier just becomes normalized, because our human mind has an incredible ability to adapt to change and assume that that's the new baseline.
Well, that's why, like new cars. You go buy a brand new BMW, you crank it up, you love the sound of that engine, and then you smell the leather and you see all the gauges, and you're like, oh, this thing is just the greatest. But then, fast forward 2 or 3 months in the future, you're still driving to work and going, yeah, it's just a car.
Just a car.
It's just a car. And that's the problem with the hedonic treadmill, is that we have an insatiable appetite. And that's why, guys, when I'm talking about deferred gratification, I know we use that as the primary driver for a lot of when you're building, goal seeking and trying to build, as you're envisioning that great, big, beautiful tomorrow.